This video is brought to you by Recurrent, an essential EV tool that gives free access to TFL EV viewers in the US. With Recurrent, EV shoppers can check range and battery info on used cars. EV owners can connect to compare their range and battery health to similar vehicles. And EV sellers can use Recurrent to get more money for their sales. With Recurrent, we can find, drive, and sell electric cars positively. Click on the link in the description below to get free access to Recurrent's amazing EV tools.
Howdy folks, Nathan here with the Honda Zero SUV. And the reason this vehicle is important, aside from the fact it looks really cool, is the fact that this will be, amongst the Zero series, the first one built. This is going to be built in 2026 at a new facility in Ohio, which is going up later on this year. And this vehicle recently debuted at CES. However, there's a lot of people there, there's a throng of people. We have direct access. We're gonna take you inside the vehicle and show you everything with nobody else around, because it's just us right here in Torrance, California, deep in the bowels of Honda headquarters for this area. Do everybody a favor over at TFL and tell them who you are and what you do with Honda.
I'm Jonathan Rivers, and I'm a department manager for our product information group.
Okay, just so you guys know, A, he is fluent in Japanese, and B, he's been with Honda for over 15 years. Am I correct?
You are spot on.
Yeah, yatta! Yeah, I did it. That's about all I got. I've got like 10 words, and they're not very good. Let's talk about the Honda Zero SUV, because this vehicle, aside from the fact that it looks super cool, is very close to production the way we're looking at it. Am I correct?
You are correct. This is actually going to be the first Zero Series model to go to market and launch. As you mentioned, it's going to be next year, which is not that far away, 2026. And really, this is going to kick off this new kind of sub-brand of high performance and really high technology EVs for Honda.
Can we take a look around it? Because, I mean, even the headlights look really cool, and that's a really cool segmented design.
Yeah, let's take a look at the front end here. So what's cool is this array of LEDs that are up here in front. Now there's actually 64 LED lights. Now we're going to show you here what it looks like if you were to have them go off. That new H logo kind of fades away. And if you bring them on here, it does this really cool kind of animation as well.
Yeah, that's cool.
And maybe even my favorite is, we're going to say, what about the turn signals and lights?
Yeah.
Well, this is what they look like, and it's a really cool way to just use the existing lights while, you know, kind of keeping the design really clean.
That's cool. All right, let's have a look at the side of it, because
Yeah,
it's definitely, it's a very attractive shape, and not easy to take what would normally be a two-box shape and make it look unique, right?
Well, so that's just it. It's essentially like what we would call a C-segment SUV. To put things into perspective, that's like the size of like a Honda CR-V. But what you're gonna see once we hop in the interior is that it's actually probably an entire segment above as far as interior space. We were able to do that because the ethos for Zero Series is thin, light, and wise. So thin in this case actually represents the battery. So as you mentioned, this is the first vehicle on the Honda brand that's using our Honda new EV architecture, which means thin batteries, great packaging efficiency, which allows, even though we have this kind of very rakish and low roofline, it allows really good packaging inside.
This overall form, I'm looking at it, it looks a little bit smaller perhaps in the wheelbase than your current electric EV, the Honda Prologue. And I know you can't answer this, but it looks like that this would be probably the replacement for the Prologue, considering this is a platform that is Honda platform as opposed to that one, which was, of course, a GM platform. Let's have a look at the back.
Yeah,
it's cool.
It's quite different.
Look at this. This is just such an interesting taper here.
It really is. And as you get back to the actual rear, you can see how much it does, you know, taper off, you know. And here, you know, I'm 5'10". You can see that I'm actually quite a bit higher than the actual roof line of this vehicle.
Right,
really
but if you were
tapers.
at the midpoint, it would be much higher. So it slopes backwards, which is, of course, you know, that whole thing is like a teardrop coming to the back, giving you better aerodynamics, I would imagine.
And what's really unique here is that this panel here is actually glass, so that's actually the rear glass of the vehicle, so you can see through. And we have this really nice signature lighting element below, lighting elements down below in the lower fascia. But also really cool here is this unique Honda type font. And if we were to just do this, we can actually go ahead, open this up. So let's take a look inside.
You hit the 0 to make that thing, or the O to make that open.
Yeah, pun intended, right? So,
That's very cool. I like that.
so you can see here, there's actually really good packaging.
Oh, yeah, look
for
at
the
that.
cargo space. There's lots of space inside. In fact, we've got these kind of nice walls here where if you were to pull these down, they actually serve as additional storage.
It's kind of a table thing going
Yeah,
on there.
almost a little
See,
table.
I know Honda likes tables. I know that for a fact. I've seen it with the original CRV and recently with the whatchamacallit?
Honda Passport?
The Passport, that's right, that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and both sides too. So this side actually comes down as well. In production, we would have some additional underfloor storage. So 60/40 folding rear seats. But the idea is that, to your point, the roofline was very rakish and low back here. But the way we have this opening set up, it still gives you a very high vertical entry and would allow you to have quite a bit of space, both vertically and horizontally. You could easily fit a set of golf bags.
Oh, yeah, easily, especially because you have these scalloped areas over here and over here as well. Am I permitted to open this? Or?
As one doesn't open on this, but
I will not touch it then.
Yes, we will.
I've been told that I tend to be a little bit destructive, and I really don't want to do that with a priceless prototype. Shall we have a look at the interior?
Yeah, let's go ahead and hop inside.
All right.
So when you get up there, you'll see the door handles. If you push in on the center and give it a sec, it'll actually open for you. So just give it a push.
Oh, yeah.
Let it open for you.
Look at
and then
that.
we'll hop on in.
That's very cool. All right. So this is very similar.
Yeah, it's and that's done on purpose. Here, you can go ahead and adjust the seats. This one has controls for you. So hop on in.
Now, some people would call this a yoke.
That is not incorrect. It is a yoke steering wheel, and part of that is because, and we talked about it when we did our saloon video, but for here, we're also carrying over that steer-by-wire technology, drive-by-wire technology. Pretty much everything is that,
Is by wire.
is by
yeah.
wire. So, but yeah, I mean, really the prominent thing is this Osimo operating system, this array of screens. This is the startup animation for the Osimo operating system.
So that's covering everything. And for those of you who have not seen the saloon video, quick mention here. Can we close this door? Or
Yeah,
I don't want to.
go ahead and.
I don't want to mess it up. That's so cool. Okay. So this is the side view mirror. You can clearly see it's there, but it's digital. Whether or not this makes it into production here, I think we have to wait and see. But Honda's pioneered this in other vehicles, going all the way back to the Honda Fit, if I recall, at least in the United States, where they integrated it with a mirror. Okay, and then you have these, so you have this large screen here and this massive screen here.
Massive screen in the center, potentially screens over for the passengers. But again, obviously the screens are here, but it's a ground-up design developed by Honda, this entire operating system, to create this very unique, immersive experience that's also very simple to use, right? You have a little menu bar down here, very easy to select your climate controls. If you were to do that, it shows you the actual 3D interior, the flow of air, the ability to turn on ventilated, heated seats, even your heated steering wheel. You can do that for both the front and rear of the vehicle, so really easy access. And it doesn't just stop at your climate control, whether it's your music, right? So you can easily search all your music. Of course, there'll be connectivity for CarPlay and Android Auto. We want customers to have that choice, but the embedded system is flawless and really gives you this kind of modern interpretation of how to interact with the vehicle. So the animations, the graphics, very high resolution. This is what you're going to expect in production, right? So whether you're in snow, brings you up this great graphic. It also shows you what might be changing from the powertrain, the steering, even the sound inside the vehicle. Of course, you can go for maximum efficiency. And while we haven't given specs and numbers yet, we have said that our targeted overall driving range will be over 300 miles, so quite competitive.
I'm curious to trail, only because a lot of our people are off-road freaks. The suspension, is it is it an air ride suspension? Is it a pneumatic suspension or anything like that?
We can't give those specs just yet.
All right.
But hang tight as we get closer to launch, because as the mode is called out, that is something we can take advantage of.
But I can say that most likely these different setups here, there's a different algorithm for powering, when you hit the accelerator, it's all digital now. So you're hitting the accelerator, and the amount of power that's being doled out is different based on these settings, amongst other things, I would imagine as well.
That's absolutely right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's really going to give you a lot of different experiences here inside. Again, there's these different environments, right? So if you were to push any of these, it's going to change the ambient lighting. It's even going to give you kind of a nice little background music, right? So it lets you kind of adjust, how your ambiance is inside the vehicle while you're driving. And again, you can even do this while you're parking. So if you wanted to, you're at your kid's soccer game and you needed to meditate, it rotates the seat back, and then all of a sudden it gives you this just gorgeous animation, ambient lighting to match, and this kind of nice background music as well.
Certainly is, and that ambient lighting also extends to this section here and on the doors, and more doors too. Very cool. Wow. So a couple things. Now we can't talk about actual, power and whatnot. That's TBD. But LG, they are your partners.
Yes.
So they are designing the battery tech that will be going into this vehicle. That'll come together in the Ohio EV hub, which is where this will be built.
That's correct. So several years ago, Honda decided to make a large investment in our existing automobile plants, retooling lines, really creating this flexible manufacturing environment. So in certain cases, we'll be able to manufacture ICE-powered vehicles, hybrid vehicles, full electric vehicles on the same line. So really, really great flexible manufacturing capability. At the same time, we wanted that whole EV hub essentially to be an ecosystem. So you have the vehicle plants, you have the other part stamping plants, and you also have the battery plant that you mentioned, which is a partnership between Honda and LG called LH Battery. So all of that will be in a very close proximity to bring ultra efficiency to our flexible manufacturing.
That makes a lot of sense. Can we check out the back seats?
Let's go ahead and hop out.
Awesome.
Go ahead. If there's actually a small little button here on the door, or a small little line, if you just hold that for a second, it'll open up. Just let it open.
Oh.
And then it'll be the same thing for the rear if you push
the center.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. I think I gotta hold it maybe. There it goes. Haha. Things like that, I'm pretty sure we don't know yet if they're making it into production in terms of the touch and open doors and all that. But there's always a possibility, I think is the way to put it. Should I hit the button to...
If you'd like to close it.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna hit buttons.
Just a nice little tap and let it do its thing. And
that's so cool. Okay, so the room back here. Yeah, you're right. The legroom is really good.
It's really good, right? That's your drive. That's you sitting in that same position.
Right. So with me there, wow, there's tons of knee room. Headroom is really good. I've got probably about 3 or 4 inches of headroom leading up to this fixed glass. Is this something that you guys are looking for production?
Yeah, we again, it's creating this whole experience, right? You saw in the front how much the glass, it just kind of goes right over your head.
Yeah, it sure does. It curves up and over, and then you have this break, and then there's this other section of glass that goes behind the passengers.
No, and even from here, you can see just the opening to the rear, really easy access
Sure
to your
can.
cargo.
Yeah.
But a true 5-person family vehicle, right? And as I mentioned, although the exterior is kind of that, maybe CRV, C segment, really inside, this is almost like a Passport Pilot level of second row space. And
I would say easily. Yeah. Yeah. It's a different shape, but it certainly has the same amount, if not more, legroom. And this is very similar to what we're going to be seeing with the production, right?
Yes, very close to what we're going to be launching with next year. Again, premium design, touch points, material, the Osimo operating system, our new EV architecture, level 3 driving capability. All these kinds of whiz bang tech is what you're going to be seeing very soon on the road.
Now, if I want to verbally interface with Asimo, do I say "Hey Asimo" and then it responds? Is that how it works?
We're looking at the different commands, but we want to look at it more than just that, more than just another assistant, because we have lots of those in our smartphones in our home. The idea here is that we're partnering with Helm.ai. So Helm AI essentially has software where the AI can learn. It's untrained learning, that they call it, right? And so other AI systems, you have to kind of feed it information and commands and almost tell it what to do so it can get smart enough. This actually can take, okay, I see that this is how they entered the vehicle. I see this is maybe the mood that they're in. This is the type of music they like, the lighting that they like. It can then make predictive behavior based on those kind of habits and things that you typically do.
I wonder if there's the type of tech available where you could actually name it yourself and call, I don't know, Charles, and walk into the car and say, "Hey, Charles, I need you to turn this on," and it would listen to you and do that.
It's going to be very close to that level of interaction, right?
Really?
And the idea is that it's only going to get better over time.
Right.
Over the air updates, the AI will improve and learn in this vehicle. It's not like you have to wait to go buy the next gen. This same vehicle will have the ability to improve over time.
Fantastic. Quick question about these roofs. I was just thinking about this. Is there some sort of opaque button? You hit it and it turns opaque, or is there a slide that would cover it or something like that?
Yeah, we'll definitely, as we get to production, we'll look at what's the final spec. But I hear you. There's obviously the ability to adjust the opacity, or like you said, have some kind of sunshade. So there's different options that are still on the table.
So it's still at the table. I got it. Oh, no problem. Just curious.
Yeah.
Wow, in some ways, this is a little bit more impressive for a guy like me than the saloon, because this feels a little bit more like it's going to be built. Does that make sense? Like it feels real.
Well, which is like you said, it's interesting because the saloon is real too, though. So,
no, I get it. I get it.
But to your point, this is your daily driving family 5-seater
and maybe
vehicle.
that's why, because it doesn't feel like such a fantasy car. It feels a little bit more solid, like rooted in current reality, as opposed to something that's future tech, which is right over there.
Well, and one thing I wanted to also touch, because you had mentioned it, as of right now, like you said, the 0 Series will stand as its own kind of sub-brand, this kind of more premium brand that can really attract a lot of new customers. And to keep things in perspective, the Prologue is doing incredibly well for us. So
It's doing really well.
It's doing really well. So yeah, I don't think there's any plan. This isn't a replacement for that, and and we don't look at it as a model that will cannibalize that. We look at them as kind of different position. Although size is similar, I get where you're going. But
internally, they are. Physically, on the outside, I think the Prologue looks longer. At least it certainly has a much longer deck.
Yeah, but we're looking at these as kind of different brands, different buyer types, customers.
Right.
So, the Prologue is doing well, and we expect that to continue. So.
I totally get that. Well, awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been a real pleasure. This is cool. Guys, the future is looking very cool.